non-seminar seminar. I'm not going to specifically focus on one topic, but try to go through a whole sequence of questions and graph theory which would be of interest. And really you don't have to take notes, but it will be kind of something like doing puzzles. Fine. So that's the kind of plan, right? So let me write, and many of them have to do with graph coloring. And in particular, you know, this very nice vertex coloring question, right? I mean, so if I give you this graph and I ask you to color the vertices so that adjacent vertices get distinct colors, then it's quite clear that you can color this as red, blue, red, red, and blue, blue, and blue. Fine. So in particular, you can generalize this very easily and see that if you can partition the vertices into two groups, right, and such that all edges go across. So bipartite graphs, right, chi, this is the chromatic number or the coloring number, is 2, right? Okay. Now I am sure all of you can come up with an example. If I ask you, give me a graph with chi of g equal to 3. Okay. Yeah, you just come up with a triangle. That's very easy, right? Okay. So now let me strengthen the question now. Give me a graph for which chi of g is equal to 3, right, and has no triangles. Yeah, so any odd length cycle is this, right? So you just take 5 cycle, right, fine. It's just a parity argument that with 2 colors you cannot color everything, right? So that's very easy, right? Now I'm going to up the demand. Now construct me a graph, right, where the chromatic number is 4 but no triangles. No, whatever you say, you have to prove it. I won't prove it. You have to show me why. So what is an octagon? 8 cycle, that's 2, no? Red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, all the way around. So if it's just a cycle with no triangles, then it's either 2 or 3, depending on odd or even. Pardon? No, that's still 3 colorable. That edge, the side which is common, right, whatever is a color, after that the hexagon, I will only use those colors. That's just 3 colors. Okay, square. Okay, diagonals are intersecting. But you already haven't you formed triangles here? Yeah, go ahead. Pentagon modified, yeah. Yes. Right, okay. That's a triangle. So I'll encourage you to try the following, right? I mean, this is probably one of my earlier attempts. So you should try, right? So, but in the interest of time, I won't do this. Look at this graph. What do you think? First of all, do you see any triangles in this graph? As you can see, there are no triangles in this graph, right? So what did I do? I just took this complete graph, right? Divided each of the diagonal edges by putting a vertex and making a star, right? You can copy it. Let me go to a next page and let me just draw this completely, right? Let me draw a big one because I need it for some kind of a interesting counter argument. So you can see this construction. Right? Right. So I just put this additional vertex on each. Right? All right. Let's just try this, guys. So outer cycle anyway, I have to use 3 colors, right? So I want to use 3 colors and not more. Red, blue, green. It's very symmetric, so it doesn't matter what I do. Fine. Okay. So now this vertex is red, right? This vertex is red on this side, red on this side. Let me color this blue. Right? This vertex is blue and blue here. Let me color this red again. Right? This vertex is, so let me color this blue. Right? And now I am forced to color this green. As you can see, I have used 3 colors. And so this one needs a 4th color. Right? So yellow. Can any of you do better? So I can color it with 4, but maybe one of you can color it with 3 colors. So the key thing to observe is that if you claim that you have a 3 coloring, right, then the outer 5 cycle should have been colored with 3 colors, right? And there's only one way of doing it. You can only rename the colors if you want, but there's just one way of doing it, right? It's just red, blue and green. If you use only 3 colors, right? I mean, one color will get used exactly once in the 3 coloring, call that green. The other colors will have to be used 2 times, right? So the outer coloring is fixed, right? You see that? Now you have to argue that there is some clever way of coloring the inner 5 vertices, which are all not adjacent, with only 2 colors, or you have to prove that it can't happen. Right? So I gave you one logical thought process. Outer coloring is fixed. There's only one way if you claim that you have a 3 coloring. Right? Now you have to somehow color the inner 5 vertices with 2 colors or convince yourself that it can't be done. Right? Okay. Okay. So you can take this as a puzzle, right? So this proof is not very hard. I mean, one of the ways of doing this proof or trying to play with this thing is to tabulate RR, GB, BB, RG and RB. What did I do? I tabulated the color of this pair and this pair, this pair and this pair, that is GB, right? Then BB, this pair and this pair, right? Then RG, right? And what did I do here? There must be an RB somewhere. Yeah, RB, right? So for all those 5 diagonals, I did this, and now I have to see what color can I give to these guys and somehow do a counting argument now. I leave you to do it, right? But the problem doesn't end there. Give me a graph with chi of g is equal to 5 with no triangles, right? And so on. and it's not an easy exercise at all, it's fairly challenging. Right? How to actually come up with a construction of graphs which don't even have triangles, but you need very large number of colors. Right? In other words, they kind of behave like cliques themselves. Right? A complete graph requires, but it has lots of triangles. Right? Okay. So let's move on and right. Let's do one more kind of a puzzle kind of a question. Right? How many of you have seen this or know of this question from before? Question is very simple, right? So I draw a complete graph and I give vertex labels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many different labeled spanning trees can you get? The spanning trees may look the same, but if the vertex labels of the edges are, if the edges are different, the spanning trees are different. How many distinct spanning trees can you get? How, have any of you seen this question and its answer before? Or you have seen it? Okay. You can even give me asymptotic answers. How many, asymptotically how many are there? Order of? Huh? Okay, for 5, okay, that's close enough, but probably more. What is 4 factorial? 12, 24, right? I think you're undercounting. If you just look at the permutations alone, right, of the 5 vertices, fix the first one, right, and permute the remaining 4 vertices. Each one will give you a different path. So that's already 4 factorial. I think you're undercounting. No, but what is a spanning tree? How do you know you're not overcounting now? Huh? See, by 5 factorial is only the paths only, no? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rearrange all of them. Each one will give you a path. That's each one is a different spanning tree. So 5 factorial is also undercounting. So it's a very cool counting argument, right? And so in a sense, you will be learning a new way of thinking, right? I won't do the proof, but the construction is very, very, very neat, right? So let me just show that to you. The answer is actually 5 to the power of 3. That's 125, right? So the closest is 5 factorial, right? Which is 120, right? So the key idea is that if you give me one spanning tree, I am going to give you a corresponding sequence, right? Spanning tree to n minus 2 letter sequence mapping. So I'll show you how to do this. Let's take one spanning tree, right? So let's take a spanning tree which looks like, so it's 1, 5, 4, 2, 3. Fine. So here is the way the sequence is output. What do? You take the least labeled leaf, right, and print its neighbor down, 5, then you erase it, right. Now you look at the least labeled leaf, right, the one leaf with the least label, and print its neighbor down, right. So now you will print 2, right. So now you erase 3. Now you look at the least labeled leaf, right, that's 2, and print its neighbor, 5, right, and you stop. Fine. So for every spanning tree of the graph, you output such a sequence, right. The sequence has how many letters? It has n minus 2 letters, in this case 3, and there are 5 possibilities. Fine. Now I will show you. Now let me erase the whole tree, and let me show you how to reconstruct the tree given such a sequence. Fine. Okay. Now you ask, is the least label which is not in the sequence, right? So it's 1. So I'll add 1 to the tree, and I'll say, oh, it says it's adjacent to 5. Okay. Then I'll remove 5 from here. Then I'll ask, what is the least label, right, which is not in the sequence, right? So which is 3, right? And it becomes adjacent to, so let's just work it backward. I'm sorry, right? So I hope I didn't make a mistake there. So what was the tree? It was, do you remember this? 1, 1, 5, and it went to 2, 3, and this was 4, right? Right. So what was it that I did? I hope I didn't make a mistake, right? So I took out 1, I printed out 5, I removed this guy, right? Then I took 3, right, and I printed out, sorry, I printed out 2, and I removed this guy, right? Then 2 is the least leaf, I printed out 5. So this is correct, right? Okay, fine. So let me see if I can reconstruct it using the rule, right? So basically I want to reverse this whole process, right, and argue that if you give me such a sequence, I can construct a unique tree. Fine. So 1 becomes adjacent to 5, that's good. Yeah. The least, okay, I made a mistake in presenting it. The least value which is not in the sequence, right, is 1, right, and I make it adjacent to 2. Fine. Okay, so I repeat this. Always you look for the least value which is not in the sequence, add it, and if it is already there, you make it adjacent to the current value in the sequence and remove it. Fine. So now the least value which is not, the least value here, right, is, okay, this makes, the least value which is not in the tree now is 3. I introduce 3 here and make it adjacent to 5. Yeah, least value which is not in the tree, right? So let's do it again. Okay. So the least value which is not in the tree now. So basically what do I have? I can start off like this. I can think of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, right? So now I have the least value which is not in the sequence. I take 1 and I make it adjacent to 5, right? Okay. So then I remove this guy. Then I look at the least value, right, which is not in the sequence, right? Right. Yeah, but if I make it adjacent to 2, that's not correct. I want to maintain invariant which gives me a tree. So the least value in the set which is not in the sequence now, right, is a 1, and I make it adjacent to a 2, right? So the least value which is in this set which is not in the sequence is a 1, I make it adjacent to a 2, and okay, let's see, let me remove this, right? Okay, so 3, and then finally I have to add 4, 5. Was this the tree that we started out with? No, right? Okay, so then I will go back, right? So let us ditch it, right? So what is known, right, is that you can work, right? You can reverse this process that I constructed. The process that I stated is right. You pick the least numbered leaf and print out its neighbor till you're left with one edge and drop that edge, right? And if I give you such a sequence, you can also reconstruct such a tree. So therefore, it is a n minus 2 letter sequence, right, on the letters 1 to n, right? And every spanning tree will give you such a sequence, and if I give you the sequence, you can construct a spanning tree. Therefore, there are n to the power of n minus 2 such sequences. Do you know the reverse construction? Okay, I made a mistake. So somewhere okay, it's fine. Right? I'm sure you can reconstruct it, right? You know so you want to just say it? What is the rule from the? Yeah. Right. Right. And make it adjacent to 5. Right. Okay. Right. Right. I think that's not correct, right? And that's what I tried to do. Let's try it. Okay, 3 and 2 then. Yeah. Which sequence? Sorry, oh, okay. So then you remove. Okay, so let's start all over again. Yeah. Right. Okay, 1, 5. Okay, done. Right. Not 3 and 1, is it? Not 3 and 1. Okay, fine. Okay. Oh, and then I put this h2 5. Okay. And then put 5 4. Put 5 because that's the only pair that's missing. Was that the one that we had? Oh, I see. Okay, good. So let's just go through this again and check that. Okay. Okay, yeah. So I guess, okay, good that we can complete it, right? So, right. So let's just do the example again. So you have 1, what was it? 4. 1, 5, 5, 2, 2, 3, 5, 4, right? Okay. So clearly you get 5, 2, 5, right? Now let's just reverse this procedure, right? So as she pointed out, so you pick the first vertex from this sequence. I think that's the crucial one. You pick the first vertex from this sequence which is not here, that's 1. You add the edge 1, 5, right? And eliminate this, right? And now pick the first vertex which occurs in this sequence but doesn't occur here, that's 3, make it adjacent to 2, right, and remove this. Yeah, and the mistake that I made was I couldn't consider 2 because I was only looking here. Now you look at 2, which is the first letter in this sequence but doesn't occur here, make it adjacent to this, right? And finally, whatever pair that is left, you simply add that edge. Right? Okay. So the most important thing that you have to observe, the key thing that I am not going to prove is that two trees don't get the same sequence, right? And because what you have seen is that given a tree you can construct a sequence, and given a sequence you can construct one tree. You just need to ensure that this is a bijection, right? Fine. And therefore you have n to the n minus 2 spanning trees for this whole thing. Fine. So there is a very closely related one, right? But very difficult, right? And this I can give it as an exercise, counting the number of spanning trees of a graph, right? So there is a theorem which is called the Cayley's theorem, right? I'll encourage you to just Google it and read it, right? So in particular, let me ask you this question: do you think you can write a program which will print out the value of the number of spanning trees in a graph?